Okay, so today we're going to solve some story problems. And we're only going to do three examples. The other two on the next page of your notes are for next week. Okay, so today we're going to cover story problems that set up two-step equations. All right, so I know word problems are difficult. They were difficult for me too. But I'm going to try to show you, or I will show you, uh, how to solve them using this process. So let's go ahead and look this over. Um, so we have 5 steps, and the first step is read the problem without trying to solve it. Many times, what I've noticed is people get kind of desperate. I used to, and try to answer the question in your head right then and there. And that's hard. That's really hard. So we're going to read through the problem, but we're just going to read it to understand the story, what's going on. Okay? So without trying to solve it, definitely. Um, then we're going to try to do, after that first reading, we're going to define the variable. Basically, that's figure out what you are looking for. And it's usually going to tell you towards the end or at the end of the paragraph, whatever we're reading, what we're trying to find out or answer. And that's going to be our variable. And then, so we've taken care of this and this. And then we're going to identify the important information. Emphasis on important, because sometimes, have you ever had that you're reading a problem and there's some number in there and that number tends not to be any part of the problem? So sometimes we have to sift out and sort out some information that isn't important. And then we're going to set up the problem and solve. Okay. And the problem in this case is going to be an equation. Write the word equation there. So what we're going to set up is an equation, since that's what we've been talking about. And the last thing is evaluate the answer. Basically, does it make sense? So at the end, if they're asking for the cost of a ticket and the ticket winds up being like a carnival ticket and the ticket it turns out to be like $200, I mean, that doesn't make sense. Something along the way didn't make sense. Okay? So this is the process we're going to follow. So we're going to read the problem. Don't try to answer it. Just understand the story. Okay? Hi, welcome. Oh, yeah. You're welcome to come in. Pásenle. Con gusto. Están en su casa. Come on in, please. Morning. All right. So where were we? We were talking about identifying the important information, sorting out what we need, what we don't need, setting up an equation and solving it, and then looking at your answer at the end and seeing if it makes sense. Okay? So let's go ahead and read the first problem. All right. So example number 1, Jenna bought 5 reams of paper at the store for a total of $21. The tax on the purchase was $3. Find the price of each ream of paper. So I'm going to underline or highlight, and you can underline if you don't have a highlighter, this last sentence, because that's what we're trying to find. The price of each ream of paper. Do you know what a ream of paper is? Well, this used to be a full ream of paper, but this is a ream. You know, you go to Staples or Office Max and you buy reams of paper. So let's go back and let's see what's the important information. Jenna bought 5 reams of paper. Do you think that's important? Yeah, especially since we have to find out the price. All right. At the store for a total of $21. Do you think the total price, the total cost is important? Definitely. And then it says the tax on her purchase was $3. Is that important? Yeah. So we need that. So we have all that information. So we've kind of figured out what's important, what's not. Let's define a variable. And the variable, some people just choose the same variable like X. But we have to define it. Some people, me included, I like to make it relevant to the story. Okay? So this stands for the price for reams of paper. So I'm going to choose R. And R is going to represent or equal something. In this case, it's going to be the price of each ream of paper. So I'm going to say cost of a ream of paper. So when we talk about defining the variable, this is it. You specifically state what the variable represents. In this case, the cost of a ream of paper. All right. Any questions? Okay. So now we identified the important information. We defined a variable. Let's see if we can't put together a story. It talks about 5 reams of paper, right? And a total cost of $21. Anything else I'm missing? The tax, $3. So all of that has to come together into some sort of equation. So maybe we can figure out how much Jenna paid. So let's talk about how much he paid. How can I use 5 reams? 5 reams. Do we know anything about the reams? We don't, right? We don't know how much they cost. But what are we using to represent that cost? It's there. The tax is how much she paid on that. But we are using something to represent the amount of money she pays for each ream. It's R. That's why I write it down, because I'm using that to say, okay, I don't know the cost right now, but it's R for right now. So let's set that up. If I pay for 5 reams, it's 5R. This is the cost for the 5 reams. We were talking about that tax. Does she have to pay that tax? Yeah, we all got to pay tax. Plus 3 equals, well, the total. What's the total? 21. I know this is hard, but you get more comfortable the more times we try it. Okay? So let's see. We have an equation. And we're going to use that equation because if I solve for R, that's the cost for each ream. So let me just, I don't want to use this because I want you to see, okay, this is the original equation. I'm going to go ahead and solve it here. I'm going to recopy that. 5R plus 3 equals 21. Okay? And, well, we've solved a bunch of these. Let's solve this one. We have 5R equals 21 minus 3, which is 18. We'll divide. Oh, wait a minute. I got a little bit of a problem. Does 5 go into 18? No, and this is money. So we probably want to get a decimal value. What we're going to do is just practice a little bit. Later on, when we get working, I'm going to let you use a calculator. But for right now, I'm going to divide 5 into 18 the old-fashioned way, okay? So I'm going to go one of these. Remember that? You got the house, 18 in here, long division. What I was teaching my ahijada, my goddaughter, last night. So how many 5s go into 18? 3. 3 times 5 is 15. And then this gives me 3. So now 5 doesn't go into 3, so the decimal pops up. And I bring down a 0. Fortunately for us, 5 does go into 30. 3.6, but this is money. How many decimal places do we need to show for money? Well, yeah, 3. The tens, the ones, the tenths, and the hundredths. So it's $3.60. Okay. So that answers our question, though. Each ream of paper costs $3.60. So we answered the question. Each ream is going to cost $3.60. And we practice a little long division. All right. So it was about in 5th grade that you learned long division? 4th? Okay. Yeah, with decimals. So she's working with decimals right now. Kind of like this, but a little harder. So, any questions on the process, though? Is that okay? Like I said, we'll practice this. I'll help you out during the homework, the assignment today. And little by little, we'll get there. Okay, number 2. Yadira, would you read that one for me, please? Jordan?
Jordan had $32 when she got to the carnival. After writing 6 rides, she had $20 left. Find the price of each ride.
Okay. First thing I'm going to do, usually just go right to the end. Focus on that at the end, because that's what our variable is going to be. Find the price of each ride. Okay. So I'm going to define that as our variable. So I could use R for ride. I'm going to use C, carnival, or cost, because we want the price or cost for each ride. So once we figure out what C is in our equation, we'll have our answer. Okay? So cost for each ride. And now let's go through it and find the important information. $32 when she got to the carnival, so that's important. After riding 6 rides, she had $20 left. So she got there with $32. After the 6 rides, she had $20. So that's a story right there. So here, let's start setting up our equation. Okay. So start from the beginning. Just like a story, you start at the beginning. And then she got there, she got to the carnival, had $32 in her pocket. And then she spent some money, right? Well, we don't quite know the amount because they only tell us 6 rides. But each ride costs the same. Not because you see this keyword here? That tells us it's going to equal 20. It's going to equal 20. Because that's what's left. So start with $32. Then you spend some money. When you spend some money, is that adding or taking away? So we're going to take away the cost for 6 rides. There's 6 of them, and how much do they cost? C. So it's 32 minus 6C equals 20. That's our equation. Okay? So let's go ahead and solve that. We're going to start with the equation again. 32 minus 6c equals 20. Okay. And let's get rid of the 32. So now we're just solving it like we've been solving equations for the last couple of weeks. Okay. And then we're going to have negative 12. Divide that by negative 6. Oh, wait a minute. Is that right? I might have made a mistake there. No, it's negative 12. Sorry. And then what's negative 12 divided by negative 6? Positive 2. So that's the cost per ride. How much is each ride? $2. Cost per ride is $2. Okay. Any questions? All right. Here we go. Last one. By the way, we have a little. This problem used to involve some random person named Lawrence. So you see where it says Lawrence there? Let's switch that to Miss Garcha. In version 2.0, we'll fix that. But just change Lawrence to Miss Garcha. Okay. So here we have Miss Garcha drives the same distance Monday through Friday, commuting to work. So back and forth each day, she drives the same amount Monday through Friday. Last week, Miss Garcha drove 25 miles on the weekend for a total of 60 miles for the week. Find the distance Miss Garcha drives each day commuting to work. Okay, so we have that to find. This is what we want to find. The distance Miss Garcha drives commuting to work. So that's the number of miles. So what kind of variable do you think we should make? M? That works for me. Like I said, some people just pick X for everything. You don't have to think about it. But this part has to be the same. Because of the question, we're going to say M represents the miles Miss Garcha drives commuting to work. The miles she drives daily. That's another word for each day going to work. And back. Okay. So the miles Miss Garcha drives daily going to work and back. Alrighty. Let's see what information we have. I'll give you a minute to catch up. So we know that Monday through Friday, that's 5 days, she drives the same amount going to work, and that's the part we're trying to figure out. So that's Monday through Friday. What else do we know? Total of 60 miles per week. Yeah, that's important. That's very important. That's our total. Do we know any other amount? 25 miles on the weekend. So we got to break it up into two parts. Work week, Monday through Friday, so many miles. Weekend, 25 miles. So this is what I have so far. Very close. Yes, it is plus 25. And all of that's going to equal 60. So she drives the same amount back and forth every day. How many days are we talking about? 5. So it would be 5, the number of days, times m, the miles she drives each of those days. 5m plus 25 equals 60. Does that make sense? That's pretty much straightforward from the story. So this is our equation. Our equation is 5m plus 25 equals 60. Okay? Let's go ahead and set up our equation. Okay, so go ahead and solve it. I'll give you a moment. Work it on your own. Solve it. We've solved these by now quite a bit. And once we know what m equals, we'll get our answer. So how many miles is that per day? 7. Okay. And so assuming she takes the same route to and from work, it's probably 3.5 miles each way. I'm just saying. But now we have our answer that we can use. During the work week, Miss Garcha drives 7 miles per day. Okay. So on today's assignment, really the hardest part is going to be setting up that equation. So I'll help you a little bit with quite a few of those, okay? But this is going to be our assignment.